People hear that Morristown is affordable and quiet, but traffic here has gotten to the point where you hit one red light and that means you're going to hit every red light in town. Today, I'm going to break down for you the real pros and cons of living here. No sugarcoating. After 14 years of helping families relocate to the Lakeway area, I'm going to show you what tends to catch people off guard and how to know if Morristown is right for you or is it a costly mistake. Let's dive right in. So the first pro is that home prices here in Morristown are lower than many Tennessee cities. If you're looking for an affordable place to live here in Tennessee and you still want a decent job opportunity, Morristown can be one of your better options. If you compare our home prices to what you're going to find in Knoxville, Nashville, even in Chattanooga, you're going to see the difference pretty fast. Our average home price here is still less than $350,000. Affordability isn't just in the purchase price. It comes into play with how much your insurance is going to be, how much your monthly taxes are if you're getting that escrowed in, and our property taxes, although the locals seem to say that they're high, are actually very affordable when compared to other cities and even other states. Morristown is one of the places where your budget can stretch for the better. Here's the catch. Some of these affordable homes are going to need some serious updates, and I'm going to show you exactly what to watch out for in just a couple of minutes. The trade-off, though, is that you're living in a city with maybe fewer amenities. Typical home prices in Morristown sit in the low to mid 300 range. Tennessee has no state income tax on your wages, so that money gets to stay in your pocket compared to a lot of other states where you're paying not just the federal income tax, but the state income tax too. Local property taxes are going to run lower here than you're going to see in the bigger Tennessee cities. And Morristown's utilities are city-owned, which helps keep service costs more predictable over time. So yes, affordability living here in Morristown is very real, but it does come with some trade-offs. If you're trying to break into the Tennessee market, these price points can open doors that stay locked in bigger cities. So let's talk about one of those trade-offs. If you're looking for an executive level position or something that's highly technical, Morristown's probably not going to be your strongest option. Morristown has around 100 different manufacturers and they employ close to 10 or 15,000 people. Manufacturing makes up about 24% of the county's workforce. Around 19,000 commuters drive in from surrounding counties like Jefferson, Granger, Cock, and Hawkins County to work here in Hamlin County. Major employers include the Department of Education, Cook Foods, Molly, Howmet, and the Morristown-Hamlin healthcare system. We've seen expansions like Clayton Supply and Summertown Metals will be opening a new facility here. And Morristown is growing. I can remember when we didn't have hardly any sit-down restaurants. Like we used to have like Quincy's and the Western Sizzlin', and yeah, those are long gone. Now we have the staples, Applebee's, O'Charley's, Texas Roadhouse, Aubrey's, Tennessee Jack's, Olive Garden, Longhorn. Like we have all these different types of restaurants now. So growth brings jobs, and that's something that we have to pay attention to. Now let me show you one of the areas where Morristown really shines. If you love hiking, camping, disc golf, or being out on the lake, Morristown punches above its weight for a city this size. Morristown is basically an outdoor hub and you don't have to drive far to enjoy it. We have state parks here that have trails for all skill levels, and whether you're a serious hiker or you just want an easy walk, you're going to be covered. Panther Creek State Park is about 6 miles west in Morristown and has over 30 miles of hiking trails and more than 15 miles of mountain biking trails. The park includes an 18-hole disc course, camping sites, a boat ramp, and lake access for fishing and boating. Cherokee Park is a 178-acre lakeside park with walking trails, splash pad, playgrounds, a public boat dock, and another championship-level disc golf course. Morristown hosts a major Tennessee disc golf tournament every year that draws players from all over the country. Jolly Park was recently built to give children with disabilities the same playground access as other kids, with adaptive equipment throughout the playground. So you're not having to sacrifice outdoor access by choosing a smaller city. If anything, you're gaining it without all those crowds. People who do well here are the ones who would rather spend Saturday out on a trail than in the mall. But speaking of housing, let's talk about what you're actually buying when you start looking at houses here. Before we go there, if you're thinking about Morristown, whether it's the outdoor lifestyle pulling you in or those affordable home prices we talked about, I help families relocate to and from the Lakeway area every single day. My contact info will be in the description below. All right, now let's get back to it. So if you love character homes, Morristown definitely has them, but you need to go in with your eyes wide open because some of these older houses may need some serious work. About a third of the inventory here is new construction, which is great if you want something turnkey and move-in ready. But a big portion of our housing stock was built in the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s. And if you start looking in the downtown area, you're going to be in the early 1900s. Older homes here usually hit the market one of two ways. They've either been fully renovated and they're good to go, move-in ready. They're going to be priced at the very top end of the price range, or these homes are going to be complete time capsules that need to be completely renovated. So the big ticket items that you need to check are going to be like your electrical panels, your plumbing, the foundations, the HVAC systems. If you're using a VA or an FHA loan, some of these older homes may not pass for those type of appraisals and inspections without having some major updates done. So it's kind of hit and miss with these types of homes. The character is there, but you either need a solid renovation budget or you need to accept the fact that you're going to be making some big updates in the first few years of buying that house. Know what you're walking into before you fall in love with the curb appeal. But let me tell you about something that works really well here, and that's the climate. If you're moving from somewhere with brutal winters or nonstop heat, Morristown can feel like a really nice middle ground. Morristown has warm summers that average between 80 and 90 degrees. We have very colorful fall. We have mild springs, and then we have winters that bring some snow, but are usually a lot less severe than our northern neighbors. A typical winter might bring 6 to 10 inches of snow total, but when we get a bigger snow, everything shuts down. We had about 8 inches recently and schools were out for several days because the buses couldn't get through. You don't want your kid on a bus on one of these narrow county roads if there's ice and snow everywhere. Literally, we can be, freezing temperature, snow on the ground, and by the end of the week, people are ready to pull their shorts out because it's 75 degrees outside. That's just how it works here in East Tennessee. We have often joked that we have all 4 seasons, and sometimes we get them all in 1 week. Summer highs can sometimes creep into the upper 90s, but that's not an everyday thing. But if you don't like humidity, we're not the place for you. Now, we're getting ready to go into the full springtime here, and in the spring, pollen is going to be a real problem. Morristown consistently ranks high in seasonal allergy indexes for the reason. So if you've got allergies, make sure you come prepared. That variety, though, in the different seasons helps keep us from being monotonous, but it also means that you're going to need clothes for all 4 seasons. People moving from extreme climates usually find the middle ground quite refreshing here. So let's talk about where that smaller city reality really shows up again. All right, so day to day, you're not going to struggle to find groceries or go somewhere to grab dinner. If you're used to a huge mix of local restaurants or late night options, you're probably going to be driving an hour to get that. Morristown has grown tremendously in the past 10 years with different kinds of restaurants and retails, but we are still very limited when you compare us to these larger metro areas. We went from basically one Starbucks inside an Ingles to now we've got coffee shops popping up on every street corner, it seems like. The running joke here in Morristown is that if something new is being built, it's either a coffee shop or a car wash. That's what it feels like anyway. College Square Mall is our regional mall, but it's not the big box stores that we used to have in there. Now it's a little eclectic. We do have 3 Walmarts here. One of them is a neighborhood grocery. But if you want something like Publix or Sam's Club or Costco, you're going to be driving to Knoxville or Pigeon Forge. We don't have those here. We've heard that we were going to be getting a Publix, but that's been 2 or 3 years, and I can't tell that they've ever broke any ground on it. So I don't know what's happening on that end. We are very close to Sevierville, Dollywood. There's a lot of shopping out there with the outlet malls, and there's more dining options and several local dining options in that area as well. Some people head up to the Tri-Cities, and then some are going to drive to Knoxville. So yes, we are growing, but it's still a smaller city with small city options. So your daily needs are covered, but if you're looking for variety, you might need to factor in an hour drive. So let me show you why your location is going to help you with that. So Morristown itself feels like a smaller city, but you are close enough to bigger places that you can enjoy traveling to them without having to live with that kind of traffic every single day. Knoxville is about 45 minutes to an hour southwest using I-40, I-81, or even AJ Highway. You can be there in under an hour most days. The Tri-Cities, which is Johnson City, Kingsport, and Bristol, they're roughly an hour to our northeast. You take 81, or again, you can take AJ Highway to get up there. Sevierville and Dollywood, they're about an hour away, and you're going to have a ton of dining options and shopping options there. Asheville, North Carolina, you know, a lot of people like to go to Biltmore. It's about an hour and a half away from Morristown. And then we've got McGee-Tyson Airport, which is in Knoxville, Alcoa area. It's going to be a little more than an hour to get there, mainly because they're always doing traffic on Alcoa Highway. But that airport is a fairly decent size. They are adding new flight carriers all the time there. So you're not isolated, you're just insulated from all that busyness. Day trips are easy without feeling like an ordeal. And that central location ties into why a lot of people move here in the first place. But let's talk about how you actually get around town. So if you don't drive, Morristown is going to be a very tough city for you to live in. There is a weekday bus system, but most neighborhoods here are going to be very car dependent. Lakeway Transit operates on 3 fixed routes inside the city limits with very limited routes and very limited times and days. The system is going to run Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. They have 4 vehicles on fixed routes, and then they have an additional vehicle to be ADA compliant that has a lift service on it. So we're not a very walkable town. You know, you'll hear about real estate agents who go door knocking in neighborhoods. You really can't do that here. Like, you know, people are on a ½ acre to an acre lot. They're up the hill like you'd be wore out by the time you got done with that. Morristown has a walk score of 29 out of 100, which means it's heavily automobile dependent. The downtown area does have sidewalks and you can walk around once you're there, but there really isn't any housing where you can go from walking from your front door to downtown coffee shop. If you don't have a car, getting around is going to be a big challenge. That car dependent setup affects daily life more than people realize. But if you're okay with that, let me tell you about something that people really love here. So this is probably the strongest lifestyle pro. If you want neighbors who wave and a place that's not constantly loud and rushed, Morristown fits that. Morristown is the kind of place where things quiet down around 9 or 10 o'clock. Most businesses are going to close and it's going to get fairly calm. At a 4-way stop, people just, you know, they wave at each other to go on through instead of following the pattern that you're supposed to. You don't want to get stuck at one because everybody's like, oh, you go, no, you go, no, you go. And you're just like, somebody go. Okay, I don't care who. In the rural areas outside of town, people still throw up a hand and wave when you pass them on the highway, even if they have no clue who you are. The community culture means you're more likely to get to know your neighbors and their names and actually have a relationship with them. We're still that kind of a place where neighbors know neighbors. There's probably over 120 churches here in the Morristown area with more than 25 denominations. So a faith-based community, Morristown is definitely that. And we do have quite a bit of variety out there. So you can pick your faith and follow with that. The slower pace in Morristown draws a lot of families and a lot of retirees who want to dial things back just a little bit without feeling disconnected. But that calm lifestyle also ties in to our final con. So Morristown's quiet by choice. There are things to do, but if you're looking for clubs, live music every night, or a huge singles scene, you're probably spending weekends on the interstate headed to Knoxville or the Tri-Cities, because Morristown is not that. Morristown will host events like the Morristown Makins Festival in October, the Strawberry Festival in May. We've already mentioned the Disc Golf Championship in June. We have the Rose Center, which offers, exhibits for local artists. They have performances and community events throughout the year. There's a lot of local stage groups like the Encore Theatrical Company, the Morristown Theater Guild, and even Walter State will sometimes put on productions. We do have a movie theater, the AMC 12, up at College Square Mall, and even though the price of movies keeps going up, people keep going to look at the movies. So most residents are going to drive about an hour to either Knoxville, the Tri-Cities, or even the Sevier County area for concerts, bigger events, or to have more of a nightlife. But you can be in Knoxville in about an hour if that's a good option for you. Just make sure you're not trying to drive back from Knoxville after a night of drinking out there, because you're going to get pulled over. So if you're good with quiet evenings and having a lot more family time, Morristown works for you. Entertainment here leans more towards outdoor fun and community festivals, not late nights. But there's one more challenge that locals have definitely been talking about. Locals will tell you that traffic has gotten noticeably worse as Morristown has grown, and road improvements have not been kept up with. So 11E is currently undergoing a major expansion project this year on the east side of the county. They're going to be widening it from a 2-lane to a 5-lane highway, because you'll have 2 lanes in each direction and then the median. So that is causing a little bit of a traffic jam between here and like the exit 23 area in Bulls Gap. We've got Highway 160, which is a state route, and it's kind of like a bypass. So if you don't want to have to sit through every traffic light in town, you hit 160. But traffic on there, people speed like it's a raceway, and there's multiple accidents that happen every single year on 160 because people don't pay attention and they try to pull out real quick, and they've already had to redo interchanges up there because people don't pay attention when they drive. Traffic's a lot worse than it used to be. Like when I was in school as a high schooler, it was a privilege to be able to have a car and drive my senior year. You go past that high school now and they've had to add more parking because it seems like any kid that's 16 or older is driving now. So you've got those drivers, we've got a bigger population, so we've got those drivers that have come into the area. And that is one of the biggest growing pains I think that Morristown has because of all the expansion that we've seen over the past 10 years. The infrastructure here just hasn't been able to get caught up with all that. So we do have synchronized red lights. If you hit one at the wrong time, you're gonna be sitting through every single red light. And it's annoying. And you feel like it takes forever to get anywhere. And we also have potholes. Like after we've had these snowstorms and ice on the road and they've had to salt the roads, we all joke that before spring comes, we've got to go through the pothole season. You know, we put signs in some of them and advertise it as a 1-bed, 1-bath house on East Morris Boulevard. Just joking on that part. But we will get potholes, okay? And It seems like they just want to patch the pothole and they don't want to repave the entire road surface. That's probably one of the biggest complaints that locals have right now, is the lack of road maintenance. Traffic is something that you're going to notice during peak times. It's not the Nashville gridlock. You're not going to be commuting and sitting in traffic for an hour or 2 hours, but the growing pains here are real. Projects are underway, but they do take time. So let me bring this all together for you. Every place has trade-offs, okay? And Morristown's are pretty straightforward. You get affordability and outdoor access in exchange for a limited nightlife and being dependent on a car. If those priorities line up with yours, this place works. And if they don't, then you know before you waste time coming here to look at houses. If Morristown sounds like it might be the right fit for you, and you want someone who knows this market inside and out to walk you through neighborhoods, show you the inventory, shoot me an email at amy@tnrealestategal.com. Now, if you're still trying to decide if Morristown is right for you, check out my other video linked right here. It'll give you the full scoop on the region, our price points, and what you can expect. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next video.